My name is D.A. Miller, and I go to MSU. My major is criminal justice and a double in psychology with a specialization in security administration. Well, when I was about 3 years old, I was actually currently with the guy who was thought to be my father, and and at the time I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and my uncle was shot in the back of the head by a drunk driver, and he was actually driving the car, and it was a road rage incident, and it caused him to crash, and he wasn't expected to make it. Well, for a little bit of backstory, one of the things that we used to do was I would stay with him for 3 months and then stay with my mom for 3 months. And one of the incidents that occurred during the dispute was that my stepmother at the time thought that I was more of an obstacle, and so she tended to try and do things to remove me from the situation because she thought that I was in the way of her life with my thought to be father, and she ended up planting a little seed here and there and creating doubt, and then came a court proceeding, and after a blood test, what happened was I was sent back home to be with my mom, dropped off at her job. There were some issues of trust and abandonment that were there. And to go through several years of your life as a child thinking that someone filled this role as your father, and you don't know the difference between blood or anything like that. It's more of just like, okay, this is the person that was there. This is the person that has been there for me in a father figure capacity, and then they're just gone, and it's definitely impacting. It's definitely painful, but you don't really understand at the time. It's not really, it just feels like they're not there, and it upsets you. I reconnected with my father about when I was 7 or 8, so it was a few years later. And one of the things that was really unique about that is the process of getting to know not only my father, but I had 2 sisters and 2 brothers that I'd never met, and it was just kind of like being thrown into a situation where it's like getting a new stepbrother or sister, even though it's your blood brother. It's definitely, there's a little bit of a disconnect there. I felt like a little bit of an outsider. I mean, I guess like there's always that lingering doubt or there's that lingering, I don't want to say doubt, but more of it's just like a trust issue. It's that you don't trust somebody enough, or you don't want to trust somebody enough to actually put faith in the fact that they're going to be there, because at any moment they can walk away. And so in that sense, like, there was that doubt there, and there was a fear of rejection. And initially, I think that one of the things that I did struggle with was that I perceived my father to be very materialistic. Like, he would make, and his wants were more important than his kids, and even sometimes his wants seemed to be more important than what his kids needed. And I mean, now of course he does a lot better with that, and as we're older, but it was definitely really different. For a long time I was struggling with a pill problem. I was addicted to things like OxyContin, Vicodin, a lot of painkillers like that. At some points, morphine I tried, and there were a lot of different things that I tried to numb a lot of the pain with. There was a lot of different things. There were eating disorders going on. There was a lot of feelings of inadequacy. I never quite felt like I met the standard physically, or even reached the bar that my family wanted me to reach. And I just had so many feelings of inadequacy that it kind of made me feel there was a lot of pain. And so I just kind of reached the point where I did self-medicate, and I did use a lot of pills to numb that. And I think at one point I can say that this is one of my lowest points, if not my lowest point. And it's hard to pick one, but at one point I taken a lot of pills in a day, and then I went to a party, and I drank too, and I ended up passing out, and one day I just kind of went home, and the people that I was with didn't help me into my house, and so I actually ended up falling asleep on the porch of my house, and I mean, anything could have happened to me, and it was a really scary experience.
So ultimately, this led you to make this video. What did you hope to accomplish while making this? What advice would you give other people?
I guess like it served multiple purposes for me. One of the biggest purposes that I think it served that I wasn't even aware of at the time was that it was a huge release to put these things out there that I never really shared in this capacity before, especially this publicly. A lot of aspects of me that I never really was open about, even down to my sexuality. I mean, like, it wasn't like I hid it, but I was not really open about it either. And I guess this really opened the door to have that forum with even family members that weren't familiar that saw the video. And also, I think one of the things that was more obvious to me as I was making it was I know that my life story is not typical, and I think because of that, it really made me think like I was able to make it through these things. I was able to conquer these obstacles and be better off for it. And I think that was something that I really wanted to share, was that, as you can see, there were some lows, and I managed to come through. And I just wanted to kind of say that, no matter how low it gets, if you make the choice to keep moving forward, then you can.